The Kite can be used for many applications: air kites, water kites, biomedia kites, fluid kites, gas kites, kytoons, paravanes, soil kites, solid kites, and plasma kites have niche applications that are furthering the interests of humans in both peace and conflict. Non-human-made kites have applications. Some spiders make use of kiting. Aerial photography. William A. Eddy of Eddy Kite fame lifted cameras to take photographs of cities and landscapes. Today KAP, as the hobby of many enthusiasts, is a tool for surveying land and animals, and a mode for artistic expression. Professor Charles Benton illustrates how KAP can grow in one's life. Scott Hefner has one of the most extensive collection of KAP photographs. He shares his technology. San Francisco. Those who do KAP are called capers. KAP teaching. The kite is frequently the vehicle for teaching aerodynamics, mathematics, art, history, culture, materials, cooperation, physical education, and problem solving. Transport. Long-distance travel across land, ice, and sea started centuries ago, but today significant tasks of moving people and goods from point A to point B are occurring. This is so in great part from the advances in kites and kite systems designs and technology, better understanding of winds, and use of computers and GPS. In 1889, kite sailing was carefully instructed via controlling large kite systems, towing boats, aerial apparatus, free flight, cross-country hang gliding kites, both in the hang glider style and the paraglider style, are permitting trips of hundreds of miles. Records are recorded by the Phi. George Pocock was an early pioneer in kites for transportation. NASA continues to explore free-flying kites for delivering goods to Earth's surface and non-Earth planet surfaces, including Mars. There are several projects for using very large kites to sail cargo ships currently underway. Kite Sail and Kite Ship, along with a series of patents and improvements in control of large ship-carried kite systems, aim to save significant amounts of fuel. Kiting one's kayak is getting a significant following. A Kinsmin kite kayaking tutorial. Cargo. The German company SkySails has developed ship-pulling kites as a supplemental power source for cargo ships. First tested in January 2008 on the ship MS Beluga. SkySails trials on this 55 meters ship have shown that, in favorable winds, the kite increases fuel efficiency by up to 30%. This system is planned to be in full commercial production late 2008. Kites are also available as an auxiliary sail or emergency spinnaker for sailing boats. Self-launching parafoil kites are attached to the mast. MS Beluga SkySails is the world's first commercial container cargo ship which is partially powered by a giant computer-controlled kite. The kite could reduce fuel consumption by 20%. It was launched the 17th of December 2007 and is set to leave the northern German port of Bremerhaven to Guanta, Venezuela at 1700 local time, the 22nd of January 2008. Stefan Raj, managing director of SkySails GmbH, announced, "During the next few months we will finally be able to prove that our technology works in practice and significantly reduces fuel consumption and emissions." Verena Frank, project manager at Beluga Shipping GmbH, SkySails GmbH's partner, further stated that the project's core concept was using wind energy as auxiliary propulsion power and using wind as a free-of-charge energy. Kite yachting may have started with Benjamin Franklin's Pontopool. English Channel crossing. The German company SkySails has developed ship-pulling kites as a supplemental power source for cargo ships. First tested in January 2008 on the ship MS Beluga SkySails. Trials on this 55 meters ship have shown that, in favorable winds, the kite reduces fuel consumption by up to 30%. This system is planned to be in full commercial production late. http www.google.com patents. It equals PM Varabajan amp DQ equals 332639220008. Kites are available as an auxiliary sail or emergency spinnaker for sailing boats. Self-launching parafoil kites are attached to the mast. MS Beluga SkySails is the world's first commercial container cargo ship partially powered by a giant computer-controlled kite. The kite could reduce fuel consumption by 20%. It was launched on the 17th of December 2007 and was set to leave the northern German port of Bremerhaven to Guanta, Venezuela on the 22nd of January 2008. Stefan Raj, managing director of SkySails GmbH, announced, "During the next few months we will finally be able to prove that our technology works in practice and significantly reduces fuel consumption and emissions." Verena Frank, project manager at Beluga Shipping GmbH, SkySails GmbH's partner, further stated that the project's core concept was using wind energy as auxiliary propulsion power and using wind as a free-of-charge energy. An QUE acute has crossed solo the Atlantic Ocean using power kites, and on the 4th of November 2008, she started her bid to cross the Pacific Ocean under power kites as sailing power to pull her in her small boat called Ocean Kite, using kites to reduce the work done by an engine in propelling a cargo ship is an idea that is gaining traction as a result of increasing fuel prices and environmental concerns. For example, SkySails GmbH have developed technology that they estimate can reduce fuel usage by 10 to 35% per day on average. A trial on board the MS Beluga resulted in fuel savings estimated to be worth £800 per day. This particular technology earned the company a Sustainable Shipping Award for Environmental Technology of the Year in 2011. The idea of using wind power for ships is, of course, nothing new. However, using large kites has several significant advantages over traditional sails. A well-designed kite can generate up to 25 times more power per unit area than a sail for several reasons. Kites can be flown high above the ship, taking advantage of stronger, steadier winds. For example, a kite flying on a 200 meters line will have twice as much wind energy available to it as a kite on a 10 meters line. A kite can be maneuvered to optimize its position in the airflow. A kite's shape is designed to both block air in the manner of a traditional sail and to function like an aerofoil, resulting in combined forces of lift and drag pulling the boat through the water. All that is needed to operate the kite is a winch and a storage area located towards the front of the ship, which can be fitted with little modification and at low cost. A sail, however, requires a mast to be installed, which is much more expensive and reduces the cargo area on the deck of the ship. In addition, masts and sails can act as very large levers, effectively destabilizing the ship in severe conditions. Advertising. Promotional kites can also be used as light effect carrier, e.g., by carrying light sticks or battery-powered light effects. Promotional kites. Companies buy large quantities of kites that feature their advertisement. Messages are sometimes displayed by lighting systems that are built into the kite system. Many kite stores fly kites regularly so that people will see the kites. One of the final purposes is for the store to profit from the flying of the kites. Kites are necessary to increase sales of kites. Entertainment and recreation, hobby group festivities, art, meditation, sport, extreme sports, kiteboarding, kite surfing, kite buggy jumping, kite landboarding, freestyle kite landboarding, snow kiting, snowkiting, downhill speed kiting, hang gliding, and kite high jumping are among the extreme kite sports wherein competitions are held. Competitive stunt kiting. Peter Powell's development and promotion of two-line stunt kites or sport kites helped to move stunt kiting into a popular activity as well as a competitive sport. Also, the parafoil stunt kites feed the same sporting activity. Events for kites of more than 2 control lines are common. The 4-line revolution kite has been setting new standards in precision flying. Informal field competition and formal sport competition support a stunt kite industry. Seemingly endless refinements to the kite wing and kite line, along with accessories, continue unabated. Kite fighting. A kite has 2 essential parts, wing and tether line. In kite fighting, the kite line plays a huge part in the activity. Sport kite fighting is perhaps 2,000 years old. Participation worldwide is high. North American Kite Fighter Association Troll Boredom Paravane Innovator. Frequently kites are used to entertain observers. Some kitters get entertain themselves, but others enjoy entertaining the public or members of an organized gathering. This sector of application is part of recreational uses but sometimes part of commercial uses. Decoration. Kites still are hung decoratively in rooms of homes and businesses to set the tone of a home or selling environment. Fishing. Recreational, sport, and subsistence. There are several ways kites are used in recreational and sport fishing. Lofting drop lines is one, but things don't stop there. Net spreading underwater kites, soil kites, kiting bait, control kite, trolling of bait, recreational kiting during fishing sessions, aerial photography of fishing environment using kites, and out and back cycles of trolling bait using a kite, recreational fishing, commercial fishing, and scientific and military uses of depresses of tow lines use water kiting to accomplish the effects wanted. The use of kites for fishing. George Webster wrote comprehensively on kite fishing. Jetty, beer fishing, paravanes for sport fishing. A plan view of a Solomon Islanders leaf fishing kite is shown in a photograph held by the Pitt Rivers Museum is viewable at Natural History magazine online. Pick from the past. Natural History, April 1957. Go fly kite. In kite fishing by the saltwater natives of Malaita Island, British Solomon Islands. T.W. Edge Partington, leaf kites are described. The sago palm or ivory nut tree has leaves from which natives of Malaita Island made kites for fishing. Commercial. Net spreading underwater kites and kite vanes aid the control of large fishing nets. Remotely controllable paravane. Robert A. Kirby al. Military. Kites have been used for military uses in the past for signaling, for delivery of munitions, for free flight kiting payloads from aircraft to ground positions, for kiting troops to points where they could parachute to destinations, for underwater kiting via paravanes to perform various underwater duties, for lifting payloads from one point to another. another, for raising rescue signals from rafts or stressed areas, for raising communications antenna, and for observation by lifting an observer above the field of battle, and by using kite aerial photography. Barrage kites have been used in both open-frame kites and kytoon types to defend against enemy aircraft. Kim Yu-sin, a Korean general in 637 CE, rallied his troops to defeat rebels by kite-lofting a burning ball. Kites were also used by Admiral Yi of the Joseon dynasty of Korea. During the Japanese invasions of Korea, Admiral Yi commanded his navy with kites. His kites had specific markings directing his fleet to perform his order. Admiral Yi was said to have over 300 such kites. The war eventually resulted in a Chinese and Korean victory. The kites played a minor role in the war's conclusion. In more modern times, the British Navy also used kites to haul human lookouts high into the air to see over the horizon and possibly the enemy ships. For example, with the kite developed by Samuel Franklin Cody. Barrage kites were used to protect shipping during the Second World War. Kites and kytoons were used for lofting communications antenna. Submarines lofted observers in rotary kites. The Rogallo parawing kite and the Jalbert parafoil kite were used for governable parachutes to deliver troops and supplies. Science. Kites have been used for scientific purposes, such as Benjamin Franklin's famous experiment proving that lightning is electricity. Kites were the precursors to aircraft, and were instrumental in the development of early flying craft. Alexander Graham Bell experimented with very large man-lifting kites, as did the Wright brothers and Lawrence Hargrave. Kites had an historical role in lifting scientific instruments to measure atmospheric conditions for weather forecasting. Francis Ronalds and William Radcliffe Burt described a very stable kite at Kew Observatory as early as 1847 that was trialed for the purpose of supporting self-registering meteorological instruments at height. The Weather Doctor Almanac. Collecting kitted spiders with kidnets. Kites are used to take samples of upper air and to collect things found in the upper air. The spiders the kite to disperse have been found in nets raised to upper air for collecting. The method is noted carefully in spider ballooning. Development and evaluation of field trapping methods. Balloon kite of the so-called ballooning spiderlings. The spider's kite is not a balloon. Testing. Kites were the precursors to aircraft, and were instrumental in the development of early flying craft. Alexander Graham Bell experimented with very large man-lifting kites, as did the Wright brothers and Lawrence Hargrave. Conductor carried up by a kite in the sky can lead to a high-voltage shock which can endanger people and equipment. Industrial. Lifting tree logs from logging fields. Kite logging. Rock energy generation. Both air and hydro kites are used to generate electricity. The kite is set in the stream of air or water. Various schemes are used to extract some of the stream's energy for converting that energy to electricity. A major research and development project called Makani Power, based in California and funded by Google, is investigating the use of kites in harnessing high-altitude wind currents to generate electricity. Tidal kites operate underwater, using the tidal stream's greater mass to generate far more electricity than available in wind-borne environments. Video links for generating electricity by using kites. Over 700 kite energy videos within the oars industry are collected and opened for free view to the public through the Oars Museum. Back and forth taking kite generates electricity. Magen, a Magnus effect rotating kite electricity generation system. Magen Power, Inc. NTS GmbH is German company developing X-wind technology. This technology assembles three existing technologies into X-wind plant, kite's track system and servo motor to steer the kites. Kite, Italian company, is working on several methods of generating electricity from kite systems. One key method is the STEM system, high-altitude wind power, an era of abundance. Makani powers 10 kilowatts test platform autonomously generating power. Radio aerials and light beacons. Kites can be used for radio purposes by kites carrying antennas for MF, LF or VLF transmitters. This method was used for the reception station of the first transatlantic transmission by Marconi. Captive balloons may be more convenient for such experiments because kite-carried antennas require a lot of wind, which may be not always possible with heavy equipment on a ground conductor. It must be taken into account during experiments that a conductor carried by a kite can lead to a high voltage toward ground, which can endanger people and equipment if suitable precautions are not taken. Kites for lifting antennas. Kites can be used to carry light effects such as light sticks or battery-powered lights. In nature, there are natural kites that play a part in shaping what happens on Earth. Some leaves kite to relieve wind pressures, pump fluids, and to disconnect annually to fertilize the soils. Poet Pablo Rosenbluth expressed his understanding that children see leaves as kites. Poet Marvin Bell recognized leaves as kites in his Nightworks poems 1962-2000. The leaf wafts skittingly in the wind held by the tethered leaf stem. When it is full time, the leaf stem has a demurring disconnect process. The wind then easily interacts with the leaf to cause it to fly off the trees and into a gliding fall to the ground. There is a following of kite makers that bridle leaves to fly them again as kites. Spiders. Billions of spiders use kiting to travel, disperse or to build bridge lines for the webs. Spiders hanging in the moving air on the silks are deflected to various points where they make anchor points for web building. Carol Frost, biology researcher of the University of Alberta, Canada, observed kiting in spiderlings.